5 years ago, the league watched one of the greatest seasons a receiver has ever recorded. Third in MVP voting as a receiver, Offensive Player of the Year, the receiving triple crown, along with a Super Bowl MVP. All 4 of those things in the same season. Nobody in the history of this sport has put all 4 of those things in a single season. Not Jerry, not Moss, and not Julio. 2021 Cooper Kupp is an anomaly that may never be replicated ever again. When Kupp was on the field, everyone in that stadium knew where the ball was going, but nobody could stop what was inevitable. He could run any route at any time, but unfortunately for us, Kupp would fall as quickly as he rose. So, it's time to go through the greatest ever receiving season in modern NFL history. Let's start with the part that never made sense. Cooper Kupp is a third-generation professional football player. His grandfather Jake was a successful lineman for many years, while his dad Craig, a quarterback, only played a handful of games in the NFL. And when he finished high school in Yakima, Washington, he had no scholarship offers. He was 3 weeks past his final high school game before Eastern Washington, a football championship subdivision program playing on a bright red field in Cheney, Washington, became the first school to offer him anything at all. So he went and then broke the division. 52 games, every one of them as a starter. 428 catches, 6,464 yards, 73 touchdowns. All 3 remain records for the entire football championship subdivision, and he did not edge past the previous holder. He cleared the old yardage mark by more than 1,200 yards. The reward was a 69th pick in the 2017 draft, a label, a slot receiver, which in the language of football scouting is a compliment with a ceiling built into it. It means you're smart, it means you're reliable, it means you will run the short ones and someone faster will run the deep routes. For 4 years the label held. He tore his ACL in 2018 and came back from it. In 2020, he caught 92 passes for 974 yards, a fine season, a completely ordinary one. Now, let me show you the other side of this. The problem wasn't Cooper. The problem was the man running the show behind the line. Jared Goff had taken the Rams to the Super Bowl in 2018 and been paid like a franchise quarterback because of it. By 2020, the offense had shrunk around him. Sean McVay's system is built on layered concepts. 3 receivers running routes off the same play fake while the quarterback is reading the field back to front and pulling the trigger late. It only works if the quarterback would throw into a window that hasn't opened yet, and Goff and Creasy would never do that. And a receiver whose entire value is the 2 feet of separation he manufactures in the last step of a route is worth almost nothing to a quarterback who waits to see that separation before he lets go of the football, and that was the ceiling. Goff was only 26 with a Super Bowl start on his resume, but the eye test and the advanced numbers showed that he can never be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And the sooner LA realized that, the sooner they realized they need to make a trade. So on January 30th, 2021, 2 first-round picks and a third, along with Jared Goff, was sent to Detroit for Matthew Stafford, an elite quarterback with no playoff wins in his resume. It's the first time 2 former first overall picks changed places at the same time. Every grade written about that trade graded it as a quarterback trade, but nobody realized there was more to that trade. Okay, let's dive into the regular season now. It's week 1, September 12th, Rams and Bears at SoFi, and the first evidence arrives inside the opening quarter. It's the same Kupp. The only thing that's new this time is the guy throwing the ball. The Rams won 34-14, and Kupp finished with 7 catches on 10 targets with 108 yards and a touchdown. Then in the next week, in Indianapolis, Kupp goes for 9 catches this time and 163 yards with 2 touchdowns. Then in September, the Rams go on a 3-game win streak, and Kupp is going crazy. Kupp had 25 catches and 367 yards with 5 extra touchdowns, but the only bad game of the entire year for him was in week 4 when they faced the Cardinals at home, and the Cardinals held them to 5 catches on 13 targets for 64 yards, and the Rams lost that one. Keep this in the back of your heads. This is the only time all season any team in the league held Cooper Kupp under 90 yards in a game. After this game, for the rest of the month in October, he went ballistic. The Rams won 4 straight, and Kupp had 38 catches, 557 yards, and 5 touchdowns in those 5 games. 92 versus Seattle, 130 at the Giants, 156 against Detroit, and 115 in Houston on Halloween. So add the 8 games up. He had 63 catches, 924 yards, 10 touchdowns, with the team sitting at 7-1. 924 yards across 8 games is on pace for 1,963 yards over 17. Calvin Johnson's all-time record is 1,964. At the halfway point of the season, He is running 1 yard behind the greatest receiving year ever recorded. And on top of this, the Rams are leading their division. So they decided to ride the momentum and trade for Von Miller for 2 future second-round picks. Then OBJ gets signed just a few days after Cleveland waives him. But they will have to wait a few weeks for them to get their first wins as Rams. First, Tennessee at SoFi. Kupp had 11 catches and 95 yards, but a loss. San Francisco on the road, once again 11 catches, this time 122 yards, another loss. And then Green Bay, after the bye, Kupp had 7 catches, 96 yards, 36-28, another loss. And look at what he actually did in those 3 games. 29 receptions on 36 targets, an 81% catch rate, the most reliable 3-game stretch of his entire season, but no touchdowns and no wins. 7-1 becomes 7-4, and the questions arrive exactly on schedule. Stafford is throwing the interceptions again. McVay's offense has been solved, and the draft capital is gone, and there's no bailout coming. Then it gets worse. On November 12th, Robert Woods tears an ACL in practice. Woods is the other half of the receiving corps, the player who makes it expensive to double Cooper Kupp, because doubling Kupp means leaving Woods 1-on-1, and that's going to cost you in the long run. There's no future left to trade. The back end of the decade has been spent on a 4-month window, which raises the only question that matters here. If you had already sold everything, and the coverage has already adjusted, and your second receiver is on crutches, what exactly is the plan? Well, the plan is simple. You just throw the ball simply more to Cooper Kupp. On December 5th, against Jacksonville, the Rams won 37-7. The losing streak is over, and Kupp had 8 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. Then it accelerates. In Week 14 at Arizona, 15 targets this time for Kupp with 13 catches and 123 yards. And in Week 15, Seattle, on a Tuesday night after a COVID outbreak pushed the games back 2 days, Kupp has 9 catches, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Then in Week 16, at Minnesota, the day after Christmas, Kupp has 13 targets with 10 catches and 109 yards. The December ledger, 4 games and 4 wins, 40 catches on 51 targets and 497 yards for Kupp. And here's what changes, and it's not that complicated, which is precisely what makes it interesting. With Woods gone, the offense stops pretending to be balanced. The formation's narrow. Kupp moves everywhere, inside, outside, motion across the formation, stacked, bunched, backfield, and the defensive question stops being which receiver is open and becomes, every single snap, where is Kupp and who has him? Defenses did the correct thing about it. They put their best coverman on him while they roll a safety over the top of that coverman. This is bracket coverage, and it is the specific answer that is supposed to end a great receiver season. You take away the inside, you take away the outside, and you dare the offense to find somebody else. But his numbers go up. Kupp's numbers went up when defenses are doing the correct thing. That doesn't make sense. And it shouldn't. Now there's 2 games left, and there's 1 record still standing. At Baltimore in Week 17, Kupp had 6 catches, 95 yards, and a touchdown, with the Rams winning 20-19. Then the regular season ends the way this season deserves. It's San Francisco, again in LA, this time in overtime. Kupp had 7 targets and 7 catches, 118 yards, and a touchdown. Every single ball thrown in his direction, it was caught, but it wasn't enough. The 49ers take a 3-point lead, and Stafford throws an interception on the last drive, and the Rams lose 27-24. They win the division anyway because Arizona loses to Seattle that same day. The 49ers have now beaten twice in the same season. Now, remember that, because here's the ledger Cooper Kupp flies at the end of all of it. 145 catches, 1,947 yards, and 16 touchdowns. He led the NFL in all 3 of those stats. That is the receiving triple crown. And in an entire Super Bowl era, up to this point, this has only happened 4 times. Jerry Rice in 1990, Sterling Sharp in 1992, Steve Smith Sr. in 2005, and now this season. The 1,947 yards is the second highest single season total in the history of the NFL, only 17 yards behind Megatron. And the 145 is second all time, 4 behind Michael Thomas, and he's a first-team All-Pro, obviously. And he's the Associated Press Offensive Player of the Year. And he finishes 3rd in the voting for MVP. As a wide receivers don't finish 3rd in MVP voting, and most years receivers are not seriously on the ballot at all. This is just proof of how special this Kupp season really was. A hot streak is something that happens to a player, and a method is something the player owns, but only one of the two can survive a month of film study and a defensive coordinator creating a scheme to stop your efforts. Let's see if Kupp's dominance in the regular season can translate into playoff football when the time is needed. It's the wildcard round, January 17th, Monday Night Football, once again against the Cardinals. The Cardinals come into SoFi Stadium having beat the Rams once already that year, but the game was already over before the third quarter even finds its footing. It's 34-11 with the Rams up, but Kupp's line is the quietest of the four. He only has 7 targets for 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown, with his longest gain only being 29 yards. 7 targets, he had averaged 11 a game since September that year. Arizona decided to spend their entire afternoon to scheme against one man, and the target count was the evidence. 4 fewer looks than the season average in the playoff game, his team wins by 23, and works in the narrow sense. He gets 7 balls instead of 11. It also means everybody else is playing against what is left over, and LA scores 34 points, and the game was decided before the fourth quarter even starts. That's the tax. A defense can take Cooper Kupp away, but it cannot take him away for free. The Rams got 3 more games to go, 1 down, and the next one is considerably harder. It's a divisional round at Tampa Bay, the defending champions, and they have Tom Brady. In their Super Bowl run, this Tampa defense dismantled far better offenses than this LA one, but the Rams are up 27-3. But then Tom Brady happens. Tampa scores 24 unanswered points across the entire second half, and now we're tied at 27. There's 42 seconds on the clock, no timeouts, and LA has the football on its own side of the field with an offense that has spent 2 full quarters being dismantled in front of a national audience. Everyone in that stadium knows where the ball is going to, but can anybody even stop what's already inevitable?
Take the snap. Deep down the right side. He's got Kupp running down the hash marks. He reels it in at the 15.
44 yards downfield, then the Rams spike it, then Matt Gay kicks it through as the clock reaches 0. Now it's 30-27, Rams win. The final line in Tampa for Kupp, 11 targets with 9 catches, 183 yards, and a touchdown. 183 is the biggest number he posts in any game of the entire season, regular season or postseason. 2 down and 2 more games to go for the Rams. Now is the NFC Championship and is against a familiar face, San Francisco. The 49ers have beaten the Rams twice already that season, the second time in overtime with the division on the table. San Francisco leads this game 17-7 in the third quarter, and the pattern is holding exactly what the pattern has held all year long. The 49ers simply being the Rams' kryptonite. But then, Cooper Kupp catches 11 passes for 142 yards and 2 touchdowns against a defense that had held this offense 10 points 8 weeks earlier, and the pattern is recognized and stopped. And the longest gain of 25 yards. Now, let's focus on that real quick. 142 yards in a conference championship and not a single play longer than 25 yards. There is no gadget in it, no shot down in the sideline, no busted coverage with a man running free. It was simply Kupp beating his man every single time the entire game. And San Francisco had the best defensive front the Rams would see all season, with a secondary that had held them to 10 points in November once again. But none of it was a coverage problem, it was a numbers problem, and the numbers did not change. Matt Gay kicks a 30-yarder to go ahead, 20-17, and now the Rams are going to the Super Bowl in their own stadium. Somewhere inside that game, he records his 1,300-yard game of the season, including the playoffs. That's an NFL record. This record was held by Michael Irvin and it had stood since the 1990s. LA has beat 3 teams now. There's just 1 more game to go, and they have a unique home field advantage. Now, let's go to the Super Bowl. It's February 13th in SoFi Stadium, and let's fast forward. Cincinnati leads 20-16 with 4.5 minutes to play in the game. The drive that follows is 79 yards long, and it is all essentially one player. Kupp catches on 3rd down. Then he catches it again on the next 3rd down, then a pass interference in the end zone on a route that he is running. Cooper Kupp by himself is leading the Rams to 1 more shot to win the Super Bowl. And now there's only 90 seconds of the game, but they have 1 more opportunity, and luckily for them, Cooper Kupp is 101. Back shoulder, fade, 1 yard, and Kupp goes up and takes it out the air. 23-20. Rams are up, but the Rams have to do 1 more stop. But thankfully, they have Aaron Donald, and he gets a sack on the last down of the game. 23-20, Rams win the Super Bowl, and Cooper Kupp finishes with 8 catches for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns, awarding him the Super Bowl MVP. Now, let's review the entire playoffs for Cooper. 42 targets with 33 receptions, the most anybody had caught in a single playoff run up to that point. 478 yards, with 6 touchdowns, a 79% catch rate across 4 elimination games, and he scored a touchdown in all 4. The regular season made him famous, but the postseason immortalized it. Because the postseason is the only place in football where every defense you face was built specifically to stop you, and you had the time to do it properly. And he's only 28 years old. He has the Triple Crown, Offensive Player of the Year, a ring, and a Super Bowl MVP, and he is standing on confetti in the building he plays in. We all thought we were looking at the next great receiver, but unfortunately, that would not be the case. He signed an extension that offseason and starts 2022 exactly where he ended off. 75 catches, 812 yards through 9 games, on pace for another 1,500-yard year. But in Week 10 against Arizona, he suffers a high ankle sprain. Surgery. Season's over. Then in August of 2023, he sustains a hamstring strain in the preseason, and he re-aggravates it the following day. Now he's an injured reserve, and the first 4 games of the season is gone before it even starts. Then Week 2 of 2024, against Arizona again, that ankle bugs him again. Then, March 2025, the Rams try to trade him and find no takers because nobody wants to pay $20 million to a 31-year-old with an injury sheet that he has. So, they release him. Cooper Kupp said he expected to begin and end his career in LA. He said he did not agree with the decision and that there was no chance to counter it. Everything in this video up to now is a receiver being measured: targets, yards, depth, tackles broken, and dollars saved. But here's the part that nobody measured. 2 years before he got released, a 5th-round rookie named Puka Nacua arrived in LA, and when Cooper and Puka Nacua finally met in person, they both put in the work, and Cooper Kupp became the mentor. In Nacua's rookie season, he had 105 catches for 1,486 yards, rookie records both of them. Because of injuries, Kupp had to go to this role. He became a mentor and he became the 2nd best receiver on his team. For the first time in a long time, Kupp was not the #1 target, but he created a monster that's still wreaking havoc in LA to this day. Then did it again in Seattle, this time with a receiver named Jackson Smith-Njigba. The season before that, Jackson was the 2nd receiver behind DK Metcalf, but everybody knew he had the talent. And when Kupp arrived and gave him a few pointers and became another mentor, Jackson blew up. In 2025, he caught 119 passes for 1,793 yards that led the league, broke the franchise record, made first-team All-Pro, and was voted Offensive Player of the Year. And when he was asked how it happened, Smith-Njigba gave the credit to Cooper Kupp because Cooper Kupp showed him the ropes of how to do it. But for Kupp himself, he had 47 catches for only 593 yards, the 4th option on a 14-3 football team. Then, January 25th in 2026 is the NFC Championship game, and the opponent is the LA Rams, quarterbacked by Matthew Stafford, who had just been named the league's MVP, throwing to Puka Nacua, that same rookie he mentored, who goes for 165 yards in the NFC Championship. But Kupp himself catches 4 passes for 36 yards and a touchdown. The last of them is a diving catch on 3rd and 7 in the 4th quarter that keeps the football out of Matthew Stafford's hand. And Seattle wins 31-27. Now the Seahawks are going back to the Super Bowl against a young but way too early Patriots team. Seattle dismantles them 29-13, and Cooper Kupp leads Seattle in receiving with 6 catches for 61 yards, the first player in the history of the sport to lead 2 different franchises in receiving, and the Super Bowl they won. 2 rings, 2 teams, both 4 years apart. So how do we label Cooper Kupp's career? The man achieved the greatest season a receiver could have, with just simply his route running ability, not speed, but timing and leverage. And then when his body gave up, he was still a mentor that produced the top 2 receivers to this day. From no offers to a slot receiver, to the greatest season a receiver can achieve, to a mentor. And that's how Cooper Kupp dominated the NFL.